Hi, I'm Captain Larry Bell with Texas Fishing Tips, and this is your weekly fishing report.
Down here in Mesquite Bay, Bray Cove, this area all down here around here, the two back lake mouths that dump out into this area here, you want to work all this outside area. Our water levels have been up and down this week. You know, we're in transition from a new moon headed toward a full moon now. So those are things you want to take in consideration here over the next few days as we get closer to that full moon period. These are what I call the wild card days, so you can get all kinds of different type of fishing days that will be coming your way. Be good, bad, great, terrible, whatever. But you got to be able to adjust to whatever conditions are there and what's going on. So make sure you're paying attention to the tides. Make sure you're understanding what bait's doing. Profile size will be a pretty key thing in the coming week. You want to make sure that you're either in that 3-inch, maybe 4-inch. You can even throw the 5-inch. 5-inch has been working really well in the down south in the supermodel, both the chicken of the sea and the magic grass, especially along this area here. There's been nice box trout that are in this area, off here off this point, all up here on this shell, this edge here. There've been scattered redfish and black drum up and down this shoreline that's in here. You get in the back lake there, get your top water out and work all that back lakes that are back in there. There's some really good areas. This grass in there, the bait's in there. Water temperatures is probably something that you're going to want to hit early in the day. If you're going to throw a top water, get in there where that water is cooler, because as that sun begins to rise, that temperature is going to rise in there as well. So we've seen some touching 90-degree water temp back in those back lakes in there. So those fish are really not really too keen on that, and they're really going to dump off in that 3 to 5 foot of water. So those areas and those are things that you want to consider as you begin your day. Also, remember to incorporate your majors and minors throughout the process today and see when those are going to be taking place. Working these shorelines, find your bait, you're going to find your fish. Ayers dugout. All this long, this area here, a lot of shell that's in here. Get out, check what your winds are doing, get out on top of this shell, find the drop on the edge of those, work those down south in here, work your top water in here. Throw a soft dine. Soft dine's been pretty productive this week too. It's been really good. Fish have been really wanting that soft dine. A little bit bigger profile, a little shorter, a little fatter. Got a rattle in it. The Pearl Harbor specifically, Pistachio have been really good. Both of those colors have really worked well this week. Again, the chicken of the sea and the magic grass in both your supermodel and the burner shads have been really good too, a lot up and down this area here. Now, you can't rig the burner shad with a weedless setup because it's just too small of a bait to do it. So when you throw that open hook, just be real smart about how you're working that bait across this shell. As you continue work down here toward the island here, there's a deeper edge to this. There's a nice little gut that runs in and around that island right there, in and amongst all this shell. So when you get to this edge here, probe that deeper water as that sun gets higher up in the day, because again, as that water temperature gets warmer, those fish are going to drop off to where it's cooler and they want to be comfortable. So you take your baits, probe it down those edges, that deeper edge of that cut and that gut in there. As long as you got some bait that's working in this area, you're going to have an opportunity to catch some fish. Now just continue to work all this shell. Get out here on the outer edge of it, out here on the deeper part of it. Work this edge down here with all the shell. Again, your bigger baits, throw in the supermodels, and you can rig those weedless and you can bounce it off that shell. And there's been some black drum that have kind of been cruising in and out of this area. Scattered redfish or two, but mostly trout in this area here. And again, on the trout, keep only what you need and release the rest of those, please. We're still trying to recover from all the stuff back from February. But that said, there have been some good fish that's been holding up and down this area. Up here in Carlos, all this upper shoreline here on the east side of it, you've got some back lake mouths that one of them drops off into Carlos here, but there's one that's closed off to it. Put your boat here on the shoreline and walk across that area and walk back into that back lake right there. There's been some scattered redfish that's been working back in one of those lakes, all back in here. So you can walk across it maybe 50 yards across there. Just be careful when you do. You know, old dead mangroves and everything else that's in there. But get back in that water, especially early. Throw you a top water in here and probe all that area with that top water bait. You'll be nicely surprised. You pull off a lower slot redfish that's cruising in and around here. Now, the main thing for this is if you've got bait working back there. So when you get up there, if you want to walk up there and look, see if you got bait that's working all back in that area, or check and see if birds are swooping down in there, then it'd be a good opportunity for you to throw a topwater bait. And that way you don't have to worry about coming around all the way into Spalding to get up in there to get to it, so you can walk across there to it. Makes it nice and easy. And once you do that, if you don't want to fish that there, then you come right out here on this little reef up here in Carlos. Work both sides of it. If you got more than one with you, two with you, get on either side of it. One side of it, the south side of this little reef, is a little deeper than the other side. And as you continue to work down this, there's been a nice amount of bait that's been working in and around here. There's been some really nice fish that's been caught trout-wise. Been working the supermodel down south in both the chicken of the sea and magic grass. That's my two go-tos right there that I always throw the darker colors in this. If you like other darker flavors in their line, then that's fine. Chunk them. You don't know until you throw. So the one thing that you want to do is just continue to work down all this shell. There's been scattered redfish that have been on it. An occasional sheephead has been caught off of this little area here. It's got a bunch of shell that's on it. And then as you get to the end of it, it kind of flattens out and scatters. So you really want to be real methodical when you work all this area in and around there. Again, incorporate a major, a minor into this thing, and look for your bait working in and out here. There's been a lot of porpoise that's been around here. Be aware of those because they're looking for fish too. So when you work this area, work it on both sides, work the flat of it, and just take your time with it, and you'll find some fish.
Thanks for watching. I'm Captain Larry Bell.